Welcome to Make Shit Happen. Our guest today is Robert Harper. Robert, thank you so much for making the time and driving over here, taking the time out of your day. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
For sure, Sam. I appreciate the opportunity. Glad to be here, man.
Awesome. Robert, I saw, I came across your profile on LinkedIn, and it said that you're a motivational speaker, you're a minister, and I saw some videos which I really liked. I mean, we'll talk about that later in the show. So how did you, you're a minister, you're a young guy, 30 years old. Okay, how did you go to school for ministry? What happened? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I didn't go to school for ministry. Actually, ministry was something that was not on my radar at all. I had no ambitions towards ministry. My father is a minister, and my dad, he always been influential in my life. Just a great dad, right? And so for me, ministry started because of a series of events. I was heavily into sports. Some things happened, deterred me from that goal, and I kind of got down, kind of got stuck in a play. I parked, in life, and sometimes we do that. And I had a good friend of mine, and he started to go in a direction that was really rooted in our roots, Christianity, things of that nature. And he would just help me, man. He said, hey, I'm doing teaching these classes at Howard University, Bible studies. I'm thinking to myself, like, man, you too young to be doing this stuff, man. You'd be having fun, doing your thing. And that's what I was thinking. And so while he was doing that, he was really like speaking to me, like where I was, because I was down, I was depressed, I wasn't feeling my best stuff at all. And so I just told him, I said, hey man, can you take whatever, lessons you prepare and can you send them to me? I just wanted some encouragement, some uplift. And that's what he did. And so while doing that, I just got encouraged and inspired, and a spark, came inside of me. And so I just started doing the same thing on my campus at Lone Star College. And it just, one thing snowballed after another. I started teaching a class every Thursday for 2.5 years. And it started off maybe like 3 or 5 people will come. By the end of the semester, there were like 20 to 25 students every Thursday. And we would have these Bible studies in class every Thursday at 3 p.m. So
were these accredited classes or
they weren't?
They're just voluntarily?
Voluntarily. Students would just show up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, about 20, 25 students for 2.5 years.
Before we got into this interview, you were talking about some organization that you were a part of while you were in college, Brother for Brother. Tell us, what is that? Is that a part of that?
Yeah, that was all part of that same time, Sam. Like Brother for Brother was, I just knew I needed something different in my life. And there's an African proverb that says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I just started having all these mentors, and the organizations and the right people started coming to my life to make a real impact. And one of those organizations was Brother for Brother. And so with that organization, I got a chance to serve. I got a chance to impact lives through that organization. And one time we hosted a group. We hosted an event called the Black Male Summit. And the whole purpose of the organization is to get Black and brown students to graduate from school, males. And so at the event, there were like 4 or 5 speakers. The mayor was there, just Sylvester Turner. There were just several speakers that were just phenomenal. And there was one particular speaker, and when he just got my attention, when he spoke, I just said to myself, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Didn't know how I would get there, but I knew that what he was saying and how he was saying it just resonated with me, because I feel like that was who I am, positive, optimistic, but his words were giving me so much life at the time. And so I didn't know what to do. So I just carried his books to his car. I carried his books to his car, asked him about how he got into it. And from there, the rest is history. Just really trying to, hone in my craft. And so being a part of that organization gave me the opportunity to do that. Maybe like a year and a half later, I became the recommended speaker for the college. So that gave me the opportunity to go to different classes and speak on positive thinking, self-discipline, things of that nature. And it was just an awesome time in my life.
That's interesting. You said, a year later after you saw this guy, you got opportunity to speak in front of people. If someone is listening to him, they're like, man, I would like to do that. How did you do that? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I would just tell people to start, right? Just if that's your dream, if that's your goal, it's just to start. And really, that's the most challenging part, is just to start. I became like a student of life. I told you before about this African proverb that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And all these different teachers started appearing. And I became hungry and thirsty for knowledge and information. I give you a funny story. One day I was in a car and I was telling my pop, I said, hey, I'm preparing this lesson. I'm this talk. And I just wanted him to listen to it. I didn't want his criticism. I didn't want his critique. I didn't want any of that. I just wanted to really get my ego stroked, right? But I did. And he began to tell me like, hey, if you do it this way, it'll be a little bit better. Say this, to say that. And I just, he could tell I was kind of hesitant in receiving it. And so he just said, hey, listen, son, hey, if I tell you something at 50 something years old and I give it to you now at 19, you skip 20 to 30 years. And it was like at that point, like the light bulb just came on for me. And so I just became hungry for knowledge and information. And I began to see my dad, not just as a supportive parent, but as like a mentor. And so I just been hungry for books and studying all the greats, man. And every day, that's what I was doing. If you saw my headphones, I wouldn't listen to music. I was listening to the greats, the speakers, and those who had came before me. So I remember one funny story. I went to the bookstore to buy a book, and I would do this frequently, get a book. And I would come home and tell my pop, like, hey, man, I got this new book. And they say, oh, okay, I think I got that book in the back. I said, okay. And then I did again. I would get another book. And he said, man, I think I got that one too in the back. And so he said, hey, check this out. Before you go buy another book, just check my little library in the back and see if I have it, first. And that became a regular thing. And I realized, man, I got this great opportunity to not just to not just have a dad, but just have somebody that I can mentor, I can look to, draw information from. So that's
awesome. I mean, you got to have. I'm sure that helped your relationship with them, made it even better.
Yeah, it definitely did, because he never tried to push me into ministry nor speaking of any kind. He always supported me in my dream to play ball. And so I really appreciate that, because anything that I try to do, Sam, I want to do it in an authentic way. I got to make sure that I'm passionate about it. It's something that I actually desire and I want to do. And so when it came to speaking or motivational speaking, he said, hey, if you go ahead and go at this thing, you can be pretty good. And so,
And the challenge, and I mean, you were at 19. I mean, did not want to receive from your father. And that's a lot of youth has that problem, right? Definitely. A lot of children, okay, because they're like, our parents don't know anything. They're dumb, right? I know everything.
Right.
I'm gonna become a millionaire in 2 years, or whatever it is, right? And I mean, that's just how younger kids think. Okay, it's not until you're 35, 36 you realize my parents, what they said when I was 17 or 18, I should have listened to it or really meant anything.
Definitely.
And what your pop said, it was powerful.
Yeah, it was.
You get to skip that 30 years, or you get to skip the pain, or you get to skip, the mistakes I've made. So kudos to your dad for saying that, or because some parents just won't say it. They'll be like, okay, well, that's fine. I understand. They'll stand back.
Right.
And I'm sure I've stood back a couple of times. I mean, because I'm like, just don't want to have that. He's trusting me to say something. Let me just go ahead and not say or not interject. So good for your dad right there. So now a year later you finally had your first gig of speaking. How was that? How did that feel?
Oh man, it was it definitely wasn't what I'm doing now. It was nerve-wracking, but I'll tell you, anybody, I said when I did it, it was something inside of me that knew this is what I'm supposed to be doing, right? Even though I was nervous, I just laid my hat on the fact that I can be prepared. Let me be as prepared as possible. And and think about not just what I'm about myself so much, but think about the impact that I'm getting ready to make. So yeah, man, it was nerve-wracking, but the more I did it, more comfortable I became. And so it was just a great opportunity during those early stages of Lone Star and
what was the first time? The first time you got a chance to speak, what was it about?
Positive thinking.
So tell me something like, share with us, like what do you think about positive thinking? What is it? Tell us a little bit. If you don't mind, share with us.
Yeah, for sure, man. Positive thinking is, it's pretty much the foundation of the book that I wrote, Talk to Yourself, right? Talk to Yourself was rooted in the fact that over 80% of our thoughts, psychology says this, that majority of people, 80% of their thoughts are negative. And so when you think about that, it's pretty high number, right? And so you think about, how can I write something that can combat that can give people some hope, some inspiration. I believe people have dreams and goals and things that they can really give to the world. They can make a real difference. But sometimes people just get parked and they get paralyzed because of life, man, just circumstances and situations and just life itself can become discouraging. And so I wanted to write something that would really encourage people to go after their dreams, go after their goals, have that good positive self-talk. And so you know, we don't want to get stuck. We don't want to get stuck in this cycle, right? And usually that's what we do, Sam. We get stuck in this cycle that's called the self-fulfilling prophecy. It's called, like psychology calls it this, it's called negative emotions lead to negative behavior, negative thoughts. Negative thoughts lead to negative emotions, and negative emotions lead to negative behavior. And so it's this connection between our thoughts, our emotions, and our behavior. And sometimes we're trying to figure out how can I get successful? How can I break out of this? And it's like you got to start with your thoughts, and your thoughts lead to your emotions, and your emotions lead to your behavior. And so we can break that cycle and give people the opportunity to see that you can have more if you just raise your level of thinking. Gotcha. Right. So that was the whole purpose of writing the book, Talk to Yourself. Positive thinking is a focus on the positive sides of life. I was inspired by a guy by the name of Dr. Seligman. He's a psychologist that's rooted in positive thinking and positive psychology. And, you know, people are kind of stray away from psychology because it's like, I don't want you to figure out any negative about my life or my problems or things of that nature. But this guy, he's focused on like your strong points. You're like, how can we create, more highs in your life, right? And so happiness, right? Everybody wants happiness, but he broke it down in 3 categories. Sam, like most people want happiness, but they don't know what it really looks like. And so most people look at happiness in three different ways. Either happiness, like, man, I just want like, I want the pleasant life, or I want the good life, or I want the meaningful life. Those are 3 different categories he broke it up in. And the pleasant life is just like, I want the pleasure, I want the goods, I want the thrills, right? The second part is I want the good life. And the good life is getting in the flow. You ever heard of like getting in your flow? Athletes say getting in the zone.
Yeah, get in the zone.
Getting in the zone. It's like when you in that sweet spot for yourself. But the last category of happiness that he called was the meaningful life. And that meaningful life is when you give your life to service, to helping, to making an impact to your community, to your church, to some other person other than yourself. And so many people can get so much happiness from that. And what he discovered was that that's the most valuable source of happiness, is the meaningful life. And so that's what I'm trying to give people, inspire people to live a life of service and impact, because I know that can ultimately bring them happiness.
Yeah. They also said that, matter of fact, I heard Tony Robbins once said, giving makes you happier. Yeah. And if giving is like a purpose in life, and he always talks about giving, giving right. Giving this. I'm not sure if you're, if you ever listened to Tony Robbins or not, but that kind of resonates with this meaningful life,
meaningful life,
doing something for people, and have a meaning to your life.
Yeah. So, I'm sure I know you've experienced that, just, doing the work that you're doing. It's like, every day I may not be up here on 10 because I have these pleasures, but the work that I'm doing, the impact that I'm making, the difference that I'm making in people's lives, like that brings me joy, and that's last.
Absolutely. So that was about positive thinking.
Right.
And then well, before I say that, I know you wrote that book, and I want to bring that, and you just mentioned about that. So the book is called Talk to Yourself. What are the subjects of the book? I mean, when you say talk to yourself, that's a pretty broad thing. When you say talk to yourself, well, you can talk to yourself about positive thinking. You can talk to yourself about affirmations. You can talk to yourself about negative thinking.
Right.
So what is that book about? Tell me a little bit about that.
So I wrote the book, number one, because I know talking to yourself is something that we all do, right? Yeah. It's just, what are we saying to ourselves when we have those conversations? And so the book consists of 10 different chapters, 10 different principles, and they all stand alone, right? And so in the book, we talk about adversity, we talk about accountability, we talk about taking responsibility for your life, the right kind of relationships you need to build in your life. And so there's 10 different principles that all stand alone, but I believe they give people the footing, the foundation to strive after their goals and their dreams, and to make an impact in life. So talk to yourself is something that we have to do intentionally every single day. The interesting thing about the book is that at the end of every chapter, I have like an affirmation or a prayer that I have people read, and it's all in first person. So really, they're literally talking to themselves when they read that section of the book. Yeah.
Give us an example of an affirmation like you have in the book.
They're pretty long, Sam.
But what is it like? Somebody saying, "I'm powerful, something like that? I mean,
well, I get really specific. You know, I know those are general affirmations like I'm powerful, I'm strong, I'm accomplished. You know, these and really in my affirmations of my prayer, they get really detailed. You know, into what we just talked about, and so I really tell people that you have to affirm these things into your life, because if not, then there's a tendency to get fatigue, right? Tendency to just get tired. And I believe that the reason why people give up, Sam, is probably two reasons. There's probably other reasons too, but fatigue and fear, right? Fear is motivated by your interpretation of what you see, or your perception of what you see. And so when you look at something, you say, man, something drastic happened to me. And so I'm suffering, I'm in pain, I have a heartache, I'm suffering because I just lost my job. I'm suffering because my marriage. And so we see that and we say, okay, what's your interpretation though? Your interpretation usually interprets that as fear, lack, loss, right? And so what I encourage people to do is that don't just look at your loss, but you got to look at the gain. Like you got to change your perception, because whatever you went through, no matter if it's a loss of a loved one, if it was a heartbreak, if it was loss of your job, these are things that we all go through. Right? Like you got to just realize that life is not being unfair. Life is life, you know, life is not, you know, fair or unfair. It's just life, man. So when people realize that, okay, hey, my interpretation is what matters. I've gained some things by going through the difficulties and the problems. Like I've gained understanding. I've gained clarity. I've gained a sense of self, right? Just a sense of appreciation for my loved ones. I've gained some things. And so when I switch up my mentality and say, okay, let me change my interpretation, the interpretation itself can translate you or catapult you into either you manifesting your dreams or you living out your fears. And so it's all about the interpretation. And really that's why people get stuck. They get parked. They get paralyzed because of the interpretation of whatever it is that they're going through in life. So,
and fear kills a lot of dreams as well. So, now, you know, you talked about in your book accountability.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's one thing that I always talk. I'm very interested in that because everything is about accountability.
Yeah.
Accountability to, if you're working somewhere, to your boss, or to you know, to your customers, to your clients. Accountability to oneself. What do you talk about accountability? Tell me a little bit about your point of view on accountability. I'm interested in hearing that.
Okay. And so I have this saying that goes like this. It says, some things in life may not be your fault, but they are your problem. Okay. And what that means is that some things that we've been born into that wasn't necessarily our fault. Maybe it was your home background. Maybe it wasn't the best. Maybe you got fired and it wasn't your fault. Maybe you got things with the downsides. I don't know what it might be, but it may not be your fault. But you have to take accountability and say, okay, this is my life. This is where I am, but this is not where I'll always be. And so that's why I say it may not be your fault, but it is your problem. So what you can't do is place the blame. You can't say, I'm place the blame on my mother. I'm gonna place the blame on my dad. I'm gonna place the blame on the boss or the man or whatever. You can't place the blame because that'll get you nowhere in life. You got to take full accountability for your life and realize it's based upon the actions that you make today that will get you to the life you want tomorrow. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's not my fault, but it's my problem.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. These were the cards that were dealt to me.
Exactly.
But how I make the best out of this situation.
Facts.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So what made you write the book? I mean, when did you write the book? A couple of years ago? How long ago was that?
Yeah. So I wrote the book. It's been out for about like a year and a half now.
So you wrote the book when you were 30 years old.
Yeah.
Why? What made you write the book?
What made me write it? I knew.
Did you always want to write it, or did you something happened that you're like, man, I need to start documenting everything I believe in? What was it? Tell me.
Yeah, it was a combination of both. I knew that certain things that obstacles I had to overcome and hurdles that I had to overcome, and I realized that we're more alike than we are different. That if I'm going through some of these things, and I'm sure that I'm confident other people are dealing with some of the same things, and so I remember a professor of mine. I was really struggling in a particular class, and she told me, Robert, I really want you to do well this semester. Last semester I failed, and so I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to pass your class this semester. And I went to her. I said, Professor, what do I need to do to get a B, in your class, in total class? She laughed at me. She said, Robert, you made 2 C's on the exam. You got one more test. Just make a C, and you'll pass the class. I said, but I want to make a B. That's why I want to make a B in your class. And she said, Robert, like, it's not going to happen. I said, if I make an A on the final exam, can I get a B out of your class? And she looked at me and she laughed. She said, Robert, what makes you think that you're going to make an A on the comprehensive exam and you haven't even made a B on any of the other exams? I said, all I want to know is it possible, Professor, if I can make an A, that I get a B in your class? And she said, yeah, it's possible, but that's all I heard, Sam. I just heard that it was possible. And this was a math course, and I hated math with a passion. And so what I did was that whole entire week, I was in the library tutoring, just working, putting in that work, for a whole 2 weeks. And so when the final exam came, I was so ready. I was the first one to finish my exam. I went to my professor. I said, Professor, hey, grade my test. And she said, Robert, I can't grade your exam right now. Everybody has to finish and then I can grade it. I said, well, I'm going to sit over here in this corner and then I'm going to wait till everybody finish and then I want you to grade my exam. And she said, okay, I'll do that. Everybody walks out. She gets my paper. She said, okay, I'll grade it. And she's quiet. She's looking over it. And she said, Robert, you only missed one problem. And I said, I know. And I said, I got my A, right? She said, yeah, you got your A. You got your A. She said the exact words to me. She said, you're smart. You just tell yourself you can't do math. And so that resonated with me so much because I just said to myself, what else am I saying that I can't do?
Yeah.
Right. It's not a matter of limitation or abilities or talent or skill. It's about will and perseverance. And these are the things that I had to develop. Right. And so, it was a life-changing moment when she said that.
It's a power of mind. I heard that, I don't know who was I listening to. And I listen to, motivational stuff and a lot,
Right.
Student of, consuming content. Right. and it's like, if you tell your brain something, your brain starts believing it.
Yeah.
And and then they gave that example. So they're like, let's just say you were on this airplane, right? And the flight was just turbulent and you were scared and, the plane was shaking. You thought you were going to die. And, you were like, you told yourself, I'm never, ever getting on a plane again. And then you landed and for whatever 5-10 minutes, the turbulence in the flight, you just kept telling yourself, I'm never getting on the plane again. If I land, never getting on the plane again. You landed, everything was okay. 3-4 months later, when you were going to take another flight somewhere, when you got to the airport, when you got on the plane, chances are that you are going to panic. You're going to be in a panic mode because it's your brain, your subconscious mind telling you, hey, remember we were not supposed to get on the plane.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are you doing? You're getting on the plane.
Right.
The power of the brain, power of mind is powerful, man.
Powerful, man.
So if you tell yourself, I can't do math, your mind is going to tell you, you can't do math.
You can't do math. And everything about yourself is going to govern that. So when you tell yourself, I can't do something, like I said, then your emotions are going to feel a certain way about math. Then your behavior is going to follow suit, right? You're going to stay stuck.
And then you're going to have fear and all that stuff. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm kind of digging it, man. I'm kind of resonating on that stuff. So I like it. Also, what you had told me that you like talking about not giving up.
Yeah. So
tell us a little bit about, share with us a little bit. What do you mean and what are your beliefs about not giving up?
Just don't give up. And I mentioned before that people give up for two reasons. I mentioned fear, but also I want to mention fatigue. Okay. Right? Like fatigue, it cripples a lot of people, right? It's not that you have good intentions. You want to see something come to reality. You want to start your business. You want to, write your own book. But along the process, you just get tired. You get weary. And so sometimes you're a good person, but you just get tired because you're like, man, when is it going to happen for me? Right. And so people give up in life because of fatigue. And so what we have to do is realize that we have to start tapping into like our character, right? Our character, which is stronger. Dr. King said that you don't judge a man by where he stands in moments of comfort, but you judge a man by where he stands in moments of controversy and challenge, right? And so when moments of challenge and controversy come, what's going to come out? Like what comes out then is the moment is the test. And so I would say, man, character is so crucial for your development, because character says it's my commitment to do good, right? Even when everything is going wrong. It's my commitment to have faith even when it appears to be no benefit to me, right? And so it just says, okay, I'm going to tap into character, and I'm going to say, this is who I'm going to be. I'm going to be diligent in the dark when nobody's watching, right? I'm going to be faithful over the few, right? I'm just going to do what it takes when nobody's around, right? And so, when don't give up, man, because there's so many reasons to give up. We get tired of doing the right thing. We get tired of waiting. We get tired of doing right by people when they're doing wrong to us, right? And so that's why I believe you have to tap into that thing called character, right? Doing good, not just when it's pleasant and it's comfortable, but doing good when it's confusing and conflict, right? You just got to do good anyway.
Well, you say confusing, conflict, and the character, right?
Right.
But which put me to another question. When you might have a strong character,
right,
and you might have, but then you might go through conflict, and sometimes you go through adversity,
right.
And so, how does one maintain their character, and how do one keep going through when they're going through adversity?
Man, that's a good question. I would say you got to have a strong enough why. You got to have a sense of purpose about why you're doing what you're doing. Because when you have that strong enough why, it can catapult you to endure any challenge, because you know why you're here. A lot of times people just don't know why they're doing what they're doing, and when adversity comes in their life, they give up. Say, oh, I didn't expect for it to be this challenging. I didn't expect for it to be this hard. I didn't expect for my aunt to pass away. I didn't expect for me to lose my job in the process. I didn't expect for me to get a divorce while I was going after my dreams. I didn't expect all these things to happen. And so you got to figure out, dig deep, what is your why, and have the audacity enough to hold on to it when everything else is falling apart in your life, right? And so I would just tell people, what is your why? For me, one of my whys was that, my mother, right? My mother was very influential in my life when I was acting up, right? I remember being in school and, I tell people two teachers came to my mom because she worked at the same high school I went to. And so they came up to her and said, hey, Robert's not really doing this, what he's supposed to be doing. He's talking too much. He's doing this. I don't even know if he's going to graduate. And so my mom wrote this 4-page letter, Sam, like 4-page letter. And she was tired of talking to me. She was tired of telling me what to do. She just wrote this 4-page letter and handed it to me while I was walking to class one day. And I just stopped me in my tracks. And I read it. And I committed myself to say, okay, whatever I'm going to do this next phase of my life, whether it's going to trade school, whether it's going to college, I'm going to attach whatever I get, my certificate, my degree, I'm going to attach it to this letter and give it back to my mom. And so every class that it was difficult, every time that I didn't want to get up for school, every time I didn't want to study late, get up early, like I thought about that. I've got to get this letter back to my mom. And that's what I did, right? I got my degree and I got the letter back to my mom, and she was super shocked when I gave it back to her.
You're like, what? You had that letter?
You had this letter this whole time, right? Like, so several years later. So you got to have a why that's strong enough. Yeah.
So, and then when I was going through your LinkedIn stuff,
yeah,
you talked about dreams.
Okay, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what is dreams? What does dream mean to you? And why dreams are important? And you talked about earlier dreams.
Yeah, you got to have dreams, man. I remember hearing a guy say that you can't have a dream come true unless you have a dream, right? And so I just encourage people, like, in the midst of everything that's going on, right, to have a dream, like to believe, like, with a pandemic going on, with problems going on, like, you have to, because those things inspire you, they ignite you, they give you life, right? I believe that we're born, that when we were created to create, right? And so I believe that you have to be producing, you have to have dreams, you have to have these things give you life. And so I would just tell someone is that while going after your dreams, you may endure some hardship, you may endure some challenging moments, but control what you can control, right? Control what you can control. I'm a firm believer in controlling the controllables. We can't control a pandemic. I can't control my spouse. I can't control different individuals in my life. If I try to, I began to become manipulative, right? And so what I want to do in order to maintain and fulfill my dreams, I want to control the controllables. So what that means is I can control my habits. I can control how I respond. I control how I show up. I can even control certain environments I place myself in, right? And so you want to control the controllables. So because here's the thing about it, Sam, you know, certain people in your life, they're going to offend you. They're going to misunderstand you. They're even going to judge you or criticize you for the good that you might do in life, right? But that's none of your business. That's none of your business at all. You have to stay focused. You got to dream. You got to stay focused. You got to stay mission minded, and you got to continue to be the light. That's what you have to do, because you got to stay like, I can't let somebody derail me from my dream. I can't allow someone to sabotage or interrupt my calling to serve humanity, or even show compassion on those that are misguided, right? Like they may not understand my dream. So I have to continue to press forward and say, what can I do? What can I control so that I can answer the call to serve humanity and fulfill my dream?
I love that.
Yeah.
Robert, when you know, things can be hard, right? You've been going through a
Yeah.
pandemic.
For
Some
sure.
people have lost their jobs. You know, people might have lost family. You know, due to the disease or the virus.
Yeah.
I mean, how does one just stay motivated towards their and keep focus on their dreams and mission and stuff like that, and still have a good character? What kind of message will you have for somebody like that?
Man, I was listening to something the other day, Sam, and I'm a firm believer in being positive, but I don't believe in being delusional, right? Like if his life is tough, say it's tough, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying like you just wish that, you know, clouds and rainbows when it's raining and pouring, right? Like speak reality over your life. And I'm a firm believer in that. So I just tell people, like, call out reality, right? But also at the same time, you got to believe in the possibilities. If you have any hero or shero in your life, there are two things that they did to become victorious in your life. You just examine them and think about your heroes that they really inspired you, your sheroes that really inspired you. And what they did was, number one, they embraced the experience, the negative experience that may have come in their life. But they embraced a positive outcome in the future, right? Those are two things they did. You know, our negative experiences, sometimes we try to shy away from and say, oh, I don't have any problems. I'm not going through anything. I'm tough. Everything is well. But that's not reality. Life is difficult. Life is challenging, and we suffer. And so what the key is to embrace the negative experience and say, hey, this is where I am. Life is difficult right now. And what that does for another individual is that inspires them, because they see, okay, hey, I've been there. I've gone down that road. I know that pain, right? When you lose a loved one, when you go through heartache, when you go through pain, I've been there. And so embrace that negative experience in life. But also what they were able to do is that when they were triumphant, when they got the victory, when they won, right? When they received the positive outcome, right? They held on to that because they knew that this is not only going to, I need to embrace the negative experience, because that connects me to humanity, but I need to hold on to the positive outcome because that gives hope to humanity, right? And so you want to be able to connect and give hope to people. And the only way you can do that is embrace the pain. It's difficult. It's challenging. We know that, but it's called life. And when you embrace it, and then when you win and you become victorious and you overcome, like you don't allow the thing to overcome you, when you receive your positive outcome, you give hope to humanity. Right. So whenever you're going through whatever you're going through, you got to think about those things. That's how your family and your friends, your heroes and your sheroes were victorious in life. You know, personally, I try to live by two things: honor and hope. And what that means is that I try to live by a philosophy that says I'm going to honor those who came before me, right, and give hope to those who are coming after me, right. And so when I say honor, I realize that there are people who have come before me that laid a foundation. And I need to respect that, honor that, right? They have set a platform for me to be able to be in the position that I'm in today. But I also want to give hope to those that are coming after me, realizing that with every stronghold that I bring down, every hurt that I heal, every mental adjustment that I make, right? I am making the next generation's load a little bit lighter, right? So it's hope and honor for me, right? I can't just focus on me. I would tell somebody, if you're going through it, don't focus on you. Get somebody else on your mind and push through.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. You know, sometimes as us as humans,
Yeah.
you know, we forget to thank, give gratitude for good stuff we have, right? But we always complain of the bad cards that were dealt to us, right?
Right.
And we blame, and I mean, it can be, people, I believe in God. So, sometimes I might be, God, I can't believe you did that to me.
Right. Yeah.
But, or someone might not believe to God, but whatever it is, right? But we blame. But we forget to, give gratitude. What do you think about that?
Man, gratitude is so important. It's so important, but it's the one thing that we don't do enough of, right? Just taking the time to be grateful. And I think, going through this pandemic, and we realize what's really important, your family, your health, your ability to have a job, right? To be able to have your limbs and be able to move and see and operate.
Roof over your head,
food on the table, right? And so these are things that if we're not careful, we'll take them for granted. Right. And so just every day waking up and being so full with gratitude that I can complain, but what will they do to me? Right.
Yeah.
Gratitude is going to propel you forward. It's going to give you the mental, it's going to give you the mindset that you need in order to accomplish whatever that may be before you. And so, man, gratitude is everything, man.
Yeah. My thinking of gratitude is like when you give enough gratitude, then bumps in the road might not bother you that much.
Come on, yeah.
Because you already know, hey, I got these, 11 things that I'm grateful for. So this one, I'll take it.
I'll take being in a pandemic, and I know for sure that I got a roof over my head. I got family that love me. I'll take that.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. So what is next for you? Well, first of all, let me ask before I ask what's next for you. You said that honor the one that came before you and give hope to those who come after you.
Sure.
So I mean, and you said that when you were, when you had the headphones, when you were 19 or 20 and you're listening to all these motivational speakers, give us a couple of them that you look up to.
Oh man,
you say you're hungry a couple of times. So I already kind of know
Les Brown.
You're hungry.
You're hungry, man.
Okay.
Les Brown's my guy, man.
I love Les Brown.
Yeah, I love Les Brown, man. I almost got a chance to meet Les Brown one time, and I was in the same room as him, but I didn't get a chance. I had to go back home and catch my flight. But Les Brown is one of my guys, man, that I always look to, and I just have so much respect.
I might know every word he said.
Yeah,
my memory is bad.
No, man, Les Brown is, to me, in my opinion, man, he's it. Les Brown, you got Jim Rohn.
Jim Rohn.
I love Jim Rohn. I love a lot of Tony Robbins, man. You got E.T. now. You got a lot of these guys that you just look up to and you say, man, hey, they gave me inspiration when I was 19, 20 years old. And of course, my dad. My dad is my number one, somebody that's really tangible that's next to me. So yeah.
I like E.T. I don't think I can listen to him as much. I like Gary Vee too, matter of fact.
Yeah, Gary Vee's good. Cool.
Believe it or not, he said he's not a motivational speaker, but sometimes he might say things, that out of his nonsense that really
could
make
make
a lot of sense. I used to like Grant Cardone before he became so for profit, for commercial. I mean, so when he was back in the days, I mean, his older stuff you can enjoy. I definitely don't like him no more because he showboats too much,
Okay,
yeah. It's not for regular people. And shoot, I can say whatever I want to say. It's my show. I love Gary Vee. I mean, I love Les Brown. There's I listen to Lewis Howe's podcast. I really like him.
Yeah.
You know what? The other day I listened to this podcast episode of Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, and honestly, man, watching Shark Tank, I don't like this guy, right? But after listening to his podcast, like the episode, I had new profound respect for him.
Okay.
One thing he says is like, that one of his principles is never lie.
Yeah.
Never lie. Okay. And he said, because a small white lie can change your life. It was a 15-second lie. Just don't lie. You know that if you don't lie, you might have hell to pay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it'll be better than you lying. And I'm a bad liar because the problem is if I forget what I lie about, so I've been, when he said that, it kind of resonated to me because I told myself, man, I need to stop. Like whatever happens, I just can't lie because I forget the lie. Then I have to make 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lies to cover that lie up. So you know what? That's and I think that probably was one of the things that made me like him a little bit more.
Yeah,
but there's so many out there right now.
Yeah,
so many out there. So many. I mean, I love some of the things you said. So back to that. I lost the train of my thought.
You were talking about different speakers, different people that inspire.
Well, yeah. So those are speakers that you like. What do you aspire of doing? Like, what is next for you? What is what is next for Robert Harper?
Yeah, man.
If you see yourself in 5 years, what do you see?
Man, I would see myself just continuing serving, continuing speaking, and writing books. Those are the 2 things I love doing the most: continue preaching, motivational speaking, and writing books. I have a book that I'm actually process of working on right now. Yeah. And
do you have a title for it yet, or not yet?
Yeah, I do have a title for it.
You mind telling us?
Yeah, it's a book. It deals with compassion. So the book is called "Meet People Where They Are, But Don't Leave Them There."
Okay. Now, Robert, if someone wants to, know a little bit more about you, I mean, are you on social media? Are you on YouTube? Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube.
What is your Instagram handle?
Instagram, Robert Harper II.
Robert Harper. The number 2 or?
Yeah, the number 2.
Okay,
yeah,
Robert Harper II.
On Instagram, Facebook, same thing. Robert Harper on YouTube. Robert Harper, LinkedIn. Robert Harper. Yeah.
Okay. So the only one. So everything is basically Robert Harper except Instagram is Robert Harper II.
And actually, that's my website as well. So my website is robertharper2.com.
All right, well, good, man. So I enjoyed everything you said. Is there anything that you want to add to our viewers, to our listeners, to our anything that any kind of positive message that you want to leave us with?
Man, I would just tell people to continue to go after the goals and the dreams, because ultimately it's not about them. It's about being a blessing. It's about being a blessing. So you're blessed. Yeah, you got this goal, this dream, this idea. You're blessed to have that. But you want to be a blessing to other people, and that's what it's about.
Hey, you know what? This when you said that, it kind of made me think about it. Sometimes people say, "Man, I don't want to make someone else rich, or I don't want to work so hard for you." And I had somebody told me this the other day, and I said, "Well, you're not working hard for me, or you're not working hard for your boss or the company you work for. You're really working hard for your family." Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what you just said, it kind of resonated around that. Yeah. So, I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's what it's about, man. Working hard, making sure that you don't adopt a philosophy that says you embrace mediocrity, right? There's a verse in the Bible that says, whatever your hands find to do, do it with all your might. So just a certain level of dignity and self-respect, and understand that I'm not working just for you. I'm working for myself and having dignity, and I have respect for the giver of my gift. I have respect for the gift itself. And I have respect for my gift. And so you have respect for God, yourself, and your craft. And so you just say, "Oh, hey, man, I'm not just going to do it for you. It's nothing about you. It's not even about you. It's about having self-respect and dignity, and realizing."
What you just said, if people realize that sometimes, that can mean everything, right? They will take more pride in doing their work. If they're working for themselves, they're working for the client. If they're working at a job, I mean, that sums it all up so much. Definitely, if people can just realize that, we'll be in a better world.
Definitely.
Right? Yeah. And sometimes we all go to, doctor's office or public works office, or like the city, or, to go get your driver license, or DMV office. And, it upsets me, some of the people, they
rude
don't take their time, getting you. You might be in the line and they're out there chit-chatting.
Right.
And they're rude. If you say something, "Hey, am I next?" They're very rude. So I hope sometime if people can realize that, us as people can learn that that I'm not working for anybody. I'm working for myself or for my family. And you know, whatever the Creator gave me, it'll be in a better world, man. Robert, I want to appreciate you coming, taking your time out of the day, man. This was a great episode. I loved what you said. I love what you had to share. I hope I can bring you back again in the future. You know, maybe you know, when you have your second book finished and everything else. Robert, thank you so much, man.
Appreciate
again,
it,
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.